Hi, I'm Chef Stephen Barrett with Pints Plates. Today we're going to check out some breweries and see what makes this Nova Scotia craft beer scene so unique. This craft beer scene in Nova Scotia, it's emerging, it's growing, everything is kind of coming together. What's this all about and why is it important?
Every town in Nova Scotia can handle small industry, and so we're starting to see so many different ideas pop up that people have the ability to get a consistent product made down the road by someone they knew and possibly grew up with. So there's this huge level of continuing and growing connection.
So Granite was the first craft brewery east of the Rockies.
Okay.
Think about that for a second.
Wow.
So it's a pretty big deal, definitely a pioneer. And then myself and John Allen from Propeller started within about a week of each other. So all of a sudden, then there were three. And so here we are 25 years later.
Wow.
And now we're pushing close to 80. So yeah, you're right, it is blowing up. And it took a couple of years to really sort of get that momentum to try and let people know what is craft beer and why should they care.
There's three different brewers inside of me.
Yeah.
One wants to do the historic things. One wants to make really traditional things, kind of crazy stuff.
Yep.
And then one wants to make the things that my friends like to drink as well. And I get to kind of play with some stuff.
I kind of subscribe to a little bit more of the European style of brewing, where you brew the same beer over and over and you keep on tweaking little details until you get it just right.
Okay.
And that's kind of still what Lee is doing with all of our beers. But
So they're always progressing ever so slowly.
every time we're always trying to just turn the dials just a little bit here and there.
We have every color of the rainbow, like you said.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you've obviously expanded, you're trying new styles. What has driven that? Has it been the public interest or your passion or a bit of the both? Or
It's you know what, the customer now, the craft beer customer now is, what do you got that's new? What do you got that's interesting? Hey, I heard about a style. Do you guys do that?
Yep.
That was not the case back in '97 when we started. So yeah, I mean, we were going way out there with an Irish red.
Yeah.
Sort of the British UK styles,
Yep.
malt forward, that kind of thing. Now it's about sours, it's about fruit infused, it's about double IPAs. But what kind of double A? Is it East Coast, West Coast?
There's a Lucky Charms IPA where people put Lucky Charms into the mash.
Yep.
And that's fun, and I love the idea, and I put a full birthday cake and put candles into it one time just to be part of it.
It's all over the board, and that's exciting for us as brewers.
On the East Coast, there's such a huge connection. It's slowly just turning into one kind of big industry kitchen party.
Yep.
And that's where these new ideas come in.
And if you're not having fun in the craft beer industry, you're in the wrong spot.
So it's just this positive feedback loop that we're in right now. It's awesome.
Cheers. Thanks for
Cheers,
having
my
us.
friend.
This has been
Yeah,
great.
thanks for coming down.
Cheers. Cheers. For having us. So now we've learned a lot about these amazing local brewers and breweries. We're going to head back to the kitchen. We're going to grab some of these beers and make some delicious pints and plates meals. Today I'm really excited. We're going to be working on some pints and plates meals, and the first thing we're going to make this morning is some butter poached colossal shrimp rolls. Now these are going to be poached in butter. We're going to use a little Church Brewing Gosa. We're going to add some garlic, some ginger, lots of butter, and then whip up a little roll. Chuck these bad boys in. It's just like a lobster roll, only different. Okay, so I picked up some beautiful colossal shrimp. If you're doing something fancy like a dip, you could leave the tail on, but because we're going to be putting these into a roll where people consume the full thing, we're going to just remove all of that. So we're going to be butter poaching these. I'm going to be using just some regular old salted butter. We're going to use a beautiful drop of the Saltwater Joys Gosa from Church Brewing. They're out of Wolfville in Nova Scotia. So we're going to use about a half a can of this. We're going to use some butter, a bit of garlic, ginger, shallots, lots of aromatics. In just a regular old frying pan, I'm going to add, we'll start with about a cup of butter and see how that looks. We want the shrimp to be fairly submerged, about a medium heat. We're going to add some olive oil. When you use butter, I always use a bit of oil as well. It prevents the butter from burning. And I'm just gonna let that melt for a little bit. Then we're gonna add the aromatics, whisk in the beer, and then gently poach our shrimp. So I have my minced garlic, my diced shallots, and I'm gonna grate in a little bit of ginger. So now our butter is starting to bubble up nicely. We have all these aromatics in the pan. You can smell it immediately. So as soon as you drop that stuff in there, the waft of aroma hits you in the face. And now I'm gonna pour in a little bit of beer. And I'm just gonna simply lay these shrimp into the pan. Okay, so we have our 5 beautiful colossal shrimp here. They've been poaching for 4 or 5 minutes, just a gentle poach, really low, really slow. They've poached beautifully, and now we're just gonna take them out, put them in here, and then I'm gonna whip up a quick roll to chuck them in. So instead of wasting all this beautiful liquid that we use to poach the shrimp, I'm just gonna use that to fry our bun. So I'm gonna get a little bit of that butter, and now I'm gonna go hot because I wanna get a nice crispy surface to the outside of my hot dog bun. I'm simply going to take my bun and we're just going to crisp it on both sides. On the outside of the bun, we'll fry it up nice and hot, and then it'll be nice and toasty on the outside. Then we can go ahead and get our shrimp roll assembled. What we have is our Butter and Church Brewing Goza poached shrimp. They're colossal, they're massive, they're delicious. We have some microgreens. I just have some pea shoots here that I got at the local market. I have a little bit of diced pickle. I have some dill. I have my charred bun. And in my sauce, I have Maggi seasoning, sesame oil, QP mayo, and I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper to round out this dish. Now that we have everything ready to go, we're gonna put this shrimp roll together. That's awesome. The beer went really well. Brought some of that little funkiness and a bit of salt. The shrimp is poached beautifully. The butter, the aromatics, that toasted bun for a little crunch, and those microgreens right on top really ties everything together. This is a perfect summer meal. It's filling, it's satisfying, there's lots of umami, and you're gonna want to eat about 10 of these. Thank you so much for joining us on this culinary journey today. I hope you learned a little bit about the beautiful craft breweries in this province. Get out there and support local this summer.